There it is. Wow. We tried to start with the witty show banter already in progress, but the stream took a little while to catch up, and we ran out. We ran out of steam. We got all exhausted. Whew. Jim is here, but he had to go see, I don't know. He had to go see the porcelain throne before the show started, so he didn't have any excuses as the show was going on. But we got my man Ziggy here. Ziggy, how you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? How you doing, Tio?
I am doing great. So Ziggy is here because Ziggy and I have been talking about this wall of awesome that's right off camera over here for months now. And Ziggy is like even smarter than I am. I'll just put that out there.
I've got no rebuttal to that, Tio.
I was gonna say it was a really slow response there. Maybe I'll take that smarter than me comment back. Does Ziggy play guitar?
Not six strings, maybe four, not all six.
Oh, a bass. Nice. Yeah. Or are we talking a mandolin? or banjo?
It'd be a bass. Banjos are a different thing, aren't they? Oh my god. Anyway.
Yeah, walking a bass line. Banjo's like a combination of a drum and a guitar all in one. But they had to make some compromises somewhere, so we lost two strings. Ukulele. I like it.
So Tio's been working
a lovely bunch of coconuts
with a beautiful piece of software that has been driving us both up the wall, right?
Yes.
In a good way, because Tio wants the wall of awesome to be awesome for you guys. And so that's what he's been working on all this time. This is as far as we've gotten. All right, chat, be gentle.
There is a behind the scenes thing that y'all are so privileged to see here, and that is this little red switch down here at the bottom next to these two sets of batteries. And we'll talk about what all of this. Why is that not? There it is. This little red switch down here. We'll talk about all of this as we go through. We'll kind of introduce you to all of the different pieces that we're playing with, and we'll go on there. But we got some introductory stuff. So first off, we are not licensed electricians, to the best of my knowledge, and I think I would know if I was a licensed electrician. And we don't know what we're doing. So that's the purpose of the show. So if you're here to criticize our electrical wiring skills and bad life decisions,
have fun.
Please. have at it, because this is what Ham Nuggets is all about. So welcome. And I have to say that this is year 6 of doing Ham Nuggets, year 4, maybe 5 of this particular format where we don't know what we're doing and we do it live together as a community, and people still come up to me and go, you didn't know what you were doing. I'm like, I said that 6 times throughout the show. So yeah. So that being said, there's a second legal disclaimer. We're going to have a giveaway tonight, and no entry necessary. You don't have to do anything on your part unless you're outside the U.S., but we're not shipping outside the U.S., unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge. But I put them away and I didn't get them out yet. The TinySA NanoVNA 3D printed case guy has reached out to me after I did my last video showcasing his fine 3D printed cases, and said, do you want another one? And I'm like, I would love to have one, only if you let me give it away and have you ship it directly from your store, because I am on the roll. And so this is a fantastic case that is custom designed for the NanoVNA, the NanoVNA H, the 4-incher, the TinySA, and the TinySA Ultra. This is one of the Ultra models. And then underneath of the case is this little hidden trap door. And underneath of the trap door, this one's actually really cool. This made it into the last video. There's all the accessories, and I don't want to tilt them out too much, but you can kind of see, actually watch this. I have a camera that's on a gimbal. Look at that, there we go. You can see I've got these little attenuators. These are 20 dB attenuators that fit in the case. The 40 dB attenuator is too fat, but 220s fit in there just fine, and you put the 220s together in series, and there's 40 for you. And it's got room in there for your extra pieces. I keep a SO239, a PL259 to SMA adapter. And then it's got room for the stylus and the antenna, which the TinySA itself doesn't have any room on it for the stylus. And for all you guitar lovers out there, this is a plectrum, not a guitar pick. So one of these is up for grabs. We'll do a giveaway on that a little bit later on in the show, and I gotta move the camera back up off of my neck. Thank you. And then put this away. But these things are fantastic. Very, very high quality print. And the inlay is upside down, is inlaid with whatever you want it to say. So custom prints will take a little bit longer, but not too long. I mean, maybe add an extra day to the whole processing time. And he's got them in a variety of colors. The last time we did a giveaway, I had a white one and a blue one, but I have a red one and a black one myself. And these are definitely keepers. One of the things I didn't tell Ziggy about this wall of awesome, what we call it, is I want to put one of the TinySAs up on the wall. That way, that when I do reviews on the RV channel, y'all can, know right away that it is or isn't spectrally clean. We'll close that later. It does fit all in there. So, on the radar.
Chris Bricker says, I only come for the snark. Nerding out is just the happy bonus.
Right.
Perfect example of nuggets. Good job,
Yes.
Chris.
And Sean got it right away. First comment that I can see. Maybe somebody
he
commented
did,
earlier.
didn't he? I saw that
Yeah.
before the stream even was posted. My God, he had it right there. Bam.
Yeah. Frell. And I was going to put WTF, but that's been overplayed. All right, so that's the we don't know what we're doing. That's the teaser for the giveaway later. Let me check my show notes here. Thank you to everybody in the chat in green text. Thank you to everybody in the chat in blue text. Green text are members. And some of you blue text folks with the wrench are also members, and you have a little the 45 RPM to 33 RPM record adapter. If y'all, we're all old enough to know what those things are in your name. So thank you all for being here. I did give Frank some links. The only link I didn't give Frank was to the RV channel, but Frank knows what that is. Let's see. So we do fourth
There's
Monday
Chuck.
of the month. Hey, Chuck. Fourth Monday of the month, we do a VE, Volunteer Examiner Session. So this is a ham radio channel. If you're interested in becoming a ham, you can go to hamstudy.org and study up for your tests. And you can also go to hamstudy.org/sessions, and Frank's going to drop the link on there, and there will be a session for us, for our group. The Ham Radio Clubhouse and the Toads Club combined into one union, a more perfect union, to bring y'all the ability to do a VE session. I'm one of the VEs. If they need some help, I'll do it. But it's before the show, and the whole intent is that on the fourth Monday, we'll do it before the show. You guys can pass, and then we can celebrate how awesome you guys are for passing during the show. We also do that was fourth Monday. We do a first Monday Q&A session. That's a new thing. There is a link in the description down below. Frank's going to help put it in the chat for us, where you can fill out your question and we will answer the questions live every Monday and have at it. And any question goes, and we may actually answer it depending on how weird it is or if we actually know it. And then Patrick in the chat, Gear Forever, does these wonderful embroidered hats. And he's got a discount for y'all. If you type in temp offline in the shopping cart on the way out the door, you'll get a discount of 10% to put a hat on. Not this hat. The hat that Patrick gave me is actually bolted to the wall over here. Literally, it's screwed to the wall. That's how awesome that hat is. I'm not ever taking that down, and I don't want to soil it. So that was a $2 word there.
Somebody mentioned the luscious amount of green we have on stream today.
Yes.
That's kind of my doing. I've been egging T.O. on.
Ziggy said more
come
green.
On, man. More green.
There's more green coming, Ziggy. It should be here by the time I get back from Dayton.
It's green. Your color's green. More green. All right.
Y'all gonna love the upgrades. So I want to go over some of this stuff, and I can't actually see that screen because it's shared out weird. So
green lasers.
Yes. Oh, that would be so awesome. Getting the music in the background. No, it's Green Bay Packers green, Ed. Philly Eagles. Get out of here with that Philadelphia nonsense. Actually, I'm not a Packers fan either. Ziggy and I were doing this the other day, and this window kept disappearing. So Ziggy, I changed browsers just for the stream tonight so that we wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah.
And so it's been steady. Of course, now that I've said that, it's going to disappear. So we've got a couple of things on here. And what we've got, I mean, some of this is relatively obvious. Like the MPPT would be the, wow, what does MPPT stand for, Ziggy?
Maximum Power Point Tracking.
Yeah, what he said. What's up, Zigward?
What's up, man?
I got
the
Tio, I got a reply. Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for booking the Blue Pearl. We can't wait to share our blah, blah, blah. Let me know your estimated arrival time for Wednesday and how many guests will be staying. We ask that it not be before 6 p.m. as we have someone else moving out that day and want to make sure we have ample time to
Perfect.
properly prepare the space for you. Feel free to reach out with any questions you have leading up to your booking. So
Excellent. So I did not share this with the audience yet, but we lost our room for Dayton
are we live?
5 minutes before showtime. We are live.
Are we live? Did you
Oh,
see
I
the
didn't-
look on
I
his
didn't-
face?
I didn't know that.
Dude, you're 10 minutes late.
Did you see
That
his
was
eyeballs?
a massive dropping off the kids at the pool session there, bud.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
You didn't say anything bad.
Oh, that was great.
Horana
So-
Always LLC. Do not book with them in Dayton because they'll cancel your reservation 2 days before the event. Mhm.
They found out that we were big fancy YouTubers.
I
and
guess.
said, we're not charging those guys enough.
I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'll quit talking now.
So they canceled the room on us. It seems like there might have been some damage to the house, but he didn't tell us that until after Jim went full Chicago on him.
I didn't go full Chicago. I didn't put him in the hospital
Oh, okay.
or
Well,
the
I mean,
morgue.
you are in Alabama. He's in Ohio. It's hard. We think he's in Ohio. So we figured it out. We got the room situation squared away for now. It could change at any moment. So back to what we were talking about. The big gray box behind everything is the actual wall. It's not to scale, as Doc Brown would say. I apologize for the hastiness. What's the exact quote? One of y'all in the chat are going to know it. But you get the reference anyway. So solar charge controller, we are ham, so I do have a power pole distribution block. Power poles are good for up to 45 amps. So that entire distribution block cannot exceed 45 amps. Which is good because my load tester can't exceed 10 amps. I actually did that and blew it up, and that was last Monday's show. The part is on order, but it won't be in my hands until after Dayton, hopefully before the show, and I'm having it shipped to my daughter's house in Iowa, where I will be visiting. So that hopefully we'll be ready for the second First Monday questionnaire show, Q&A show. This box here that's black and blue, it's not because I beat it up. It's a shunt, and this blue box here connects to this little device down here in the corner. And why is my mouse not showing? There it is. So this box right here is what we call a shunt, and it has a 2-wire serial connection to this blue and black box here up in the corner, and it will tell you all of the power that's coming out of the battery. It won't tell you where it's going. It'll just tell you in real time how much power is coming out of the battery. So my furnace kicks in, 9 amps comes out. My furnace kicks off, 0 amps coming out, that kind of thing. But it's, good to have some notification there. The one below that, the other black and blue box, is the inverter controller, and that will tell me all the real-time data out of the inverter, and the inverter is the big white box with the word inverter on it. Nothing gets past you guys. The lady at the DMV was a bit of a shunt, right, Phil? Shunt. S-H-U-N-T. Shunt. This is not the Australian show. These guys here, I couldn't find any good clip art for bus bars, so I made up my own clip art for bus bars. This is the part that I don't like. I was arguing with Ziggy about this. The power needs to terminate somewhere so I can add and remove pieces, and some of the pieces that I need to add and remove take a lot of electricity, and low voltage requires higher current to do the same amount of work as high voltage at lower current. Did I
You
say
said
that right,
that
Ziggy?
correctly. Yes, you did.
You nailed it.
Yeah, awesome. So these bus bars here are these guys. So let me solo myself up here. Thank you, Jim. It's just a piece of plastic to hold a piece of metal, and that piece of metal is rated at 250 amps. I can actually load electricity onto the bolts that are on the ends, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4 devices. But my main goal on this is just the inverter, the power pole distribution block, and the solar charge controller, I believe. But there's always room for change. That's, I guess before we go too much farther, that's actually the reason for the whole board. Can you tell that this is live and unscripted and unrehearsed? So what we do on the channel is I'll test out an inverter and give you some information on it. I'll test out a battery and give you some information on it. I'll test out a solar charge controller and give you some information on it, which means my system for my RV gets torn down and rebuilt every time I do another review. So I've already done, I don't know, 5 different solar charge controllers and 2 different inverters on this board and probably 8 or 9 batteries since I started tinkering with it. John, you're a bit late, but no, you still didn't beat Jim. Don, this is not a slide. This is not a slideshow. This is a slide. And this is actually live. We're going to edit this live if we need
This has
to.
pictures on it too. It's not.
Yeah. So then we go down a little bit farther and we have this little black box down here, which is a little hard to see. So we'll do the whole solo thing again, please, Jim. This is
Yep.
a DC circuit breaker and it's waterproof. And this one's good for 200 amps. And this is the input to the whole wall. So that means my wall is limited to 200 amps. And put it on and then you can test it the easy way, or you can test it the hard way by trying to pull more than 200 amps out of the battery. When I did the review on the RV channel of the 3000 watt inverter, I did not have this in place, so I couldn't test the 3000 watt inverter to its full limits. Because in order to do a 3000 watt inverter, you need 300 amp hour batteries or something better, like one 48 volt battery. And I don't know what would happen, but I think Ziggy and I were talking about this. I think what would happen is the inverter would try to deliver the load. The battery BMS would shut it off. The battery BMS would reset 10 seconds later. The inverter would try to deliver the load. The battery would shut it off.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Snap on immediately. Yeah. And then
And
they'd go back and forth, right? They'd play Pong. Then the inverter would be mad, right?
Yep. And then the load that I had to test that out was my air conditioner. And heading into summer, even in Wisconsin, I'm not going to destroy my air conditioner for a video.
No.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to suffer for your art, son. That's
I suffer enough.
Tio,
So-
don't you carry a backup with you?
A backup air conditioner?
Yeah.
I have 2. So Jim and I were talking about this before the stream. There's a PACE plan: primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency. So like 4 levels of backup. The primary is
Yep.
the one on the roof. The alternate is the one that's in the bed of the pickup truck waiting to get installed. The contingent is as many as I can pick up from Walmart and put around the RV in different strategic locations. And the emergency is get a hotel room.
This is a nightly rehearsed plan.
We were talking about generators. My wife and I are always talking. She's like, we need a generator. And I'm like, I have a generator. It's in storage at Harbor Freight or Home Depot or whatever. Yeah.
Just waiting for me.
well, I've upgraded our power plan. I have a power station that has 4,000 watts in it, and I also have a LP gas generator now to charge power stations with. Actually,
That's the right way to use
Right.
it. Yeah. So
instead of running the house on it, I use it. I'll use it to recharge the things.
use the
Wait.
generator to power the battery, and then use
Ryan.
the battery to power the house. That gives you 2 things. One,
Ryan.
it saves you on gas, and 2, it keeps all of the neighbors away who want to come in and bum free electricity from you during an outage.
I tell them you're adding BTUs to my house. Get out.
Right.
If you ain't bringing in something cold or food, get
Yeah.
out.
$300 an hour to stay in the AC during the post-hurricane madness.
And see, with that dingus I installed now, I can run the AC on that power station or the generator.
Nice. Jim installed a soft start in his air conditioner.
Yeah. It took that
Yeah.
thing from 112 startup amps to like 23. So,
That's
wow.
nice. What's
And
the
then-
total running?
Well, prior to the soft start kit, it was 13 amps running and 112 in rush. Post soft start, it's about 8.3 running and 23 in rush. So it will literally run on the generator, no problem. Now I can't run everything else, but this Alabama, I need the air conditioner first.
How many electrical AC? I guess electrical's redundant. How many AC plugs do you have on your generator, and what shape are they?
I have a 30 amp
Okay.
RV plug,
Mhm.
and that's what would feed the inlet piece. And then on the the panel, then I would just offset breakers PRN kind of thing. I actually have a transfer switch panel, and I may be rewiring some stuff to bypass that, because I had that put in before I knew about soft starts like 7 or 8 years ago. And it has, so like the fridge breaker, for example, was pulled out of the panel and ran over to the transfer panel. So when the transfer panel is set to mains, that's where the fridge gets its juice. The inlet plug feeds the transfer panel. So when I flip the transfer panel to generator, then only the breakers in the transfer panel are hot because they're not in the main panel anymore. But I'm going to end up doing some rewiring and changing all that.
So Grouch was saying he needs a slow start for a soft start for his RV.
Yep.
What was the
Micro
soft start
air.
model you got?
Micro air. And they probably make some specific ones for RVs.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they also make specific thermostats for RV air conditioners as well.
They make a bunch of stuff for RV for RV airs. I got the Easy Start Flex, which does 1 to 6 ton residential air. So yeah. Yes.
Mike?
Lee.
It does do 220? Awesome.
Yeah.
The ultimate answer for the
plug is
RV,
not 220.
the ultimate answer for the RV is the dual inverter mini split system. TO more or less sent me a 100 amp hour battery, and I got a inverter from Ape, and I ran my little camper for 2 days with air conditioning off of one 100 amp hour battery.
Nice.
Mind
so
you,
the inverter AC is not the same as inverter alternating current is not the same as inverter air conditioning. They just use the same word for a completely different meaning.
once it got down to temperature, I was pulling what was it? I think it was like as low as 200 watts or something. Once it just brought down to temperature,
1.2 amps, something like that.
It was running, so it was just sipping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was super efficient.
I wanted to do the mini split, but there's no available wall in my RV to do that.
He keeps saying that, and I'm looking at 3 of them.
3 available walls in here. You imagine how cold I would be sitting in here doing live streaming?
Oh, I'm getting excited, Tio. Stop. Tio and I are sharing a bedroom in a couple days. I'm already.
There's going to be 2 queens in that bedroom.
A little 9K, a little 9K wall unit, I think would completely transform your RV.
It probably would, but the only available space I have is right on the other side of this wall right here.
I went bananas. I went bananas, and for my first mini split, I was like, "Well, I'm gonna knock the ball out of the park," and I got a 2-ton unit, and had my neighbor come.
1,000 BTU.
That's like a maxi split, dude.
It's huge, man. Yes, 240. I think it runs on a 40 amp breaker. Anyway,
that sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyhow, absolutely love it. I recommend it.
So y'all with the behind the scenes pass, you get to see this little thing down here at the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom in right on that area. Wrong way. There we go. So what I've got is I've got the 2 batteries on the tongue of the RV, and they power the house unit, which is this gray box over here. And what I want to do is disconnect them from the wall, which would disconnect them from the solar panels, which would disconnect them from the charge controller and the inverter and blah, 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 or connect them back. So I have this brown battery as the battery under test for the video experiment for you guys. And then this is the battery pair that I live off of down here. And this is, Ziggy turned me onto this. I didn't even know these things existed. It is a AB switch for electricity.
I got one of them in my boat. Yep.
Yeah.
We call them 1-2 alls.
Of course, so you got a fancy name. I call it a switch.
Or a 1 and a 2.
It's 1-2 or all. Yeah.
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 1-2
so
all.
Here's an interesting question for you. If I put this on 1 and 2 mode, how would these batteries be connected?
In parallel.
In parallel. So that's 3 100 amp hour batteries in parallel that would actually power the inverter.
Yes.
The 3,000 watt inverter.
So you've got 2 of them. You've got 2 batteries hooked to the number 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That'd be 300 amp hours.
But the problem that I would run into is it would blow this circuit breaker here.
If you pulled 300 amps, yeah.
Yes,
200.
which is kind of
That's
the
a
point. I really
200.
don't want to mess with it.
Well, but see, the thing is, and first of all, are you realistically going to pull 200, more than 200 amps? And keep in
Right.
mind, even though the switch is rated for 200 amps, you have 300 amp hours of power, which is 3,800 watts total.
Mhm.
So, okay, it just means it's going to run longer. That's all.
Yeah. So I mean, you and I talked about this before the show. The 3,000 watt inverter needs 3 batteries to run the air conditioner, and it also needs a lot of copper at 12
He's-
volts.
Yeah.
Tio's about 500 or so watts short on this experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do it in the first place. I was just
Gotcha.
curious because I haven't sussed out how the 3 batteries would connect to the all port.
Yeah, that would work. Absolutely.
What's the LRA for the AC compressor?
I assume that means running amps. That's 8.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Colin, you might be correct in what that switch is. It's linked in the description down below. Locked rotor amperage. Okay. Yeah. Mike with the fancy terms.
That's actually, yeah, I've heard that term, but I think Mike, correct me, but that's the running amps, I think.
Yeah.
Zig, does that sound right to you?
The rotor is locked and can't move while electric power is applied. So that sounds like full engagement. Yeah.
Full sound.
Okay.
That's running. That's not startup.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like any good teacher, I'm about 1 chapter ahead of you guys in the book. And so I'm not ready to run an air conditioner in my only house.
Oh, I'm wrong. It's
Yep.
when a current draws when the rotor is stationary and full voltage is applied. So locked rotor. Okay. So the rotor is stationary. This is a startup slap in the face draw measurement.
That's
Bam.
what I've been calling inrush.
Yeah,
Yeah.
inrush.
And
So
inrush
what's
is another technical term.
What's the other one that's it's not RA, it's L something else. They have another one for running.
I don't
Somebody-
know. The app calls it live current and peak, last start peak.
So my bad.
Max draw. LRA is starting amps. Yeah.
What's the running one that I confuse it with?
Yeah. What's
It's,
the
it's
running one
another
called?
it's another
That's
acronym.
another fancy term. I
Mike-
call it
Mike
running.
Mike did step away though.
Be right back.
Continuous.
He's getting more
Continuous
beer.
current. CC.
That actually is constant current is typically what that means in an electrical
Yeah.
situation.
I was actually just making it up, but but it means something. So these 2 dots here at the top of the board, and these guys here, the red one and the black one, red for hot, black for ground, actually kind of come over here to this solar panel area. Why am I not scrolling? Here we go. To the solar panel area, and I've got 2 200-watt panels in parallel on the roof, so 400 watts, 24 volts. And then these are the wires that are running around the wall behind me here. Because the solar panels are right here above me. And there's the I guess I could still point to this thing. Nope, the microphone's in the way.
RLA,
Yeah.
running rated or running load amperes. There we go. We got LRA and RLA.
So I have
Wow.
have this thing here on the ceiling right above the door over here. And that has a matching similar device on the roof side that's all sealed, weatherproof and everything, because I thought it was pretty, so I'd put it down here. And then those wires run around the room to the wall over here that's got all the stuff on it. And that's the beginning of the wall right there. And you guys have seen the wall before. So
Yeah.
I've got the orange inverter, I've got the load device, those are 2 antennas in the black bags, and of course, Hustler from my buddy James in the chat, and the solar charge controller. Thank you, Andy.
Andy likes
Do you
your
mean the
slides.
live camera slide or the slide with the inverter on it?
This has much color. It's very eye-catching.
Yeah.
It would be cooler if you clicked things and they would pop out, though. I'm just saying. Just saying.
It would be.
If If you like clicked inverter and it inverter.
Good
Yeah,
slide.
something like that.
It's not actually a slide. Cool, Andy. Either way, I appreciate it. I'm actually going to be in Andy's neighborhood. Might have to enlist Andy's services. I actually thought about you today, brother. I'm going to put that one air conditioning unit on the roof, and I'm like, I know somebody who would know 100% of what needs to be done, and that's my buddy Andy in Iowa.
Should I be jealous that you're going to hook up with Andy now?
It's after Dayton. He's getting your seconds.
Wow.
Can I say that on stream?
Okay. All right.
Oh, Ziggy dropped and he's back. Where'd you go, Zig?
I was logging into StreamYard.
Ah, awesome. So I guess, any questions from people on stream? Any questions from people in the chat? Anything that I'm doing wrong?
I like that setup. Bus bars are your friend.
Those are the ones that give me the most headache because I'm so used to power poles, how everything's all neat and wires don't cross over each other. Connecting the inverter to the ground bus bar, it's going to go over the red bus bar, and that tweaks me for some reason.
It tweaks me too, looking at that slide. I have one question, and I might have missed this when I was 10 minutes late.
When you were
So does your inverter tell you the current draw coming in from the batteries?
That's what one of those displays is right there, right above it.
So
Okay.
this display right here will tell me all the data from the inverter. So according to this display, 120 volts, 12.8 volts in, 112 volts out, 2080 watts being delivered, and a bunch of warning alerts or the fan is on or something down below. And then this
Okay.
one up here just tells me power draw from the battery itself. So with these two, I have a really good visual representation of DC goings on and AC goings on.
The DC goings on was what I was curious about, because I would want to see live amps coming from the batteries, because that's going to be the weak point of this setup. And then the second weak point is that switch, that DC switch, to make sure you don't overdraw it, or your breaker, to make sure you don't overdraw it. That's all.
He's gonna pop it.
I feel he probably will. In the name of science, it may happen on this show.
Oh yeah.
200 is nothing. 200 amps, please.
You
probably have a
thing.
1,000 amp service in your shop. That doesn't count.
It's going to be the inverter that's going to do it, if anything's going to do it. So Eamon and a couple of other people are asking, what gauge of cable are you using? And the short answer is, it depends. So the solar panels are 24 volts, 400 watts. I'm using 8 gauge wire, so I'm way over gauged for that purpose, but there's distance involved. It comes from the roof down the wall, around, and then back up over there. So I don't know. I'm going to say 25 feet as a guess, but it's 8 gauge wire, so it's overrated.
So
In a good way.
stop right there. We were laughing about this. I have solar panels that are over 300 feet away from me, from my house, that I had to run wire for, and there's 2 arrays, and I only needed 10 gauge wire, believe it or not, to accommodate 30 solar panels.
What voltage are you running?
600.
600 volts?
Yeah.
Out of the solar panels?
Yeah.
What
So
the hell
that's
kind of
why.
solar panels have you got?
The dangerous kind.
Oh my God. Am I going to read about Florida man and a solar panel incident?
Probably.
No.
Are you
It's
allowed
all-
to be close to the airport with that?
I am close to the airport, so that's on
Reflection
them.
off the panels.
That's
Got a
on
no-fly
them.
zone over his house.
So what current
that's
is
the
that
thing.
pulling at 600 volts? Not much.
Like somewhere in between 6 and 9 amps.
Yeah. Okay.
Higher voltage, lower amps,
Yeah.
same wattage. Wattage
Yep.
is your magic number to convert between all the other ones, from, if you remember from your ham tests. So that's the wire from the solar panels to the charge controller. From the charge controller to the load board, and that's actually a really short run. The charge controller to the bus bar is going to be inches. That's actually a different gauge wire. Right now it's 12 gauge wire because it's what I had, but it's still overrated for the amount of current that it's going to do, because that's a 12 volt and I can't pull more than 10 amps out of it. 16 amps on the best sunny day, I think. Patrick's asking,
Hold on, I don't want to.
let the
I don't want to
What's
skip
that?
over Kevin. I've left Kevin
Okay.
out. He said 600-volt solar panels. So when you we don't do string inverters anymore. String inverters are the first kind where you had an array of solar panels and they were all holding hands, like negative to positive, and that's how we got to these insanely high dangerous voltages. Nowadays at the homeowner level, we have the microinverters and everything's 240 volt, and I hated it at first, but it's actually great because it allows a homeowner to blast through the permitting process, because it's technically an appliance at that point. I got so much headache with the county when I told them the voltage coming from the array. It immediately went to DEFCON 5. They were
It's like Jim did. Yeah.
yeah, they were like we need a high voltage electrical engineer on this permit, and I was like, whoa, that's never gonna happen.
Right.
So we had to compromise. But anyway,
So Ziggy kind of brushed right past what a microinverter is. Take it away.
a
Explain that one.
microinverter takes a single solar panel and takes its, I don't know what, 40 volts 40 volts at about 9 amps, and monitors the grid, and it can produce they're about like just over an amp at 240 volts of output. But when you have 70 of them like I do, each one adds up very quickly. And microinverters are the ticket, because you can I have shading on one of my panels in my string, and it brings the whole string down. You have shading on one panel that has a microinverter, that's the only one affected. So Don's talking about bad for RFI because they're often installed badly. Well, it wouldn't actually ever matter about how they're installed, because they're actually natively grounded. All the extra grounding is just redundant. It's actually a 4-conductor cable in that, and they're all bonded. I'm not saying that they're not noisy, but I don't think you
They're far
could
enough away.
I don't think you could install them badly. They're either just going to be noisy on your property or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So Patrick's asking, do you need to let the inverter charge up after you turn on the battery switch? I do on mine up to a couple of minutes, it seems. You do, but not that much, and it depends on the last time that you used it. So the modern inverters have massive capacitors in them. And that's in one of the videos, the video for the orange one, actually, I demonstrated the big spark you get when you connect them without pre-charging them. And then I demonstrated in the last 2 inverter videos I did how to pre-charge them. And it's really easy to pre-charge them. Automotive light bulb, power resistor, just something to slow down that inrush. And then once it's charged that first time, it'll come up to speed, up to temp faster afterwards. There's still a couple of seconds delay, but not minutes. Was I forced to use ferrules? For the solar panels, I do use ferrules. Let me see, get some of these questions here unstarred. We didn't finish the gauge of wire stuff. Let's put this back up here. So I'm running 12 gauge from the solar charge controller to the power pole panel, which is 12 volts, 45 amps. I'm not running 45 amps through the power pole distribution, so it's not that bad. And I probably will go up a little higher in gauge now that I have these bus bars, maybe more 8 gauge from the charge controller to the bus bars. From the bus bars and breakers to the batteries, though, Ziggy and I are having a conversation about this. I'm thinking I'm going to buy once, cry once, and go with 4-aught, because that'll allow me some headroom to grow. 4-aught is good for 300 plus amps at 12 volts. And I'm not going to ever be pushing that, but, I got to, like Jim was talking about running the cable for the head unit of his radio on his show yesterday. I don't want to do it twice.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
I have to buy the crimper too, and buying the crimper for that is also an undertaking, because it's
probably
hydraulic press crimper.
Probably a very expensive crimper.
You can get away with the mechanical screw kind. I've got one. I use it
or
pretty
the hammer
often.
kind.
The hammer kind works. The The ball
Whack.
peen's pretty great. Yep.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Tio, you don't have to go a very far distance because your
No, from
other battery bank
here
is just on the other side
to
of that
there.
wall.
It's literally right there on the
It's-
other side of that wall.
Yeah, he makes this into a big. I've got to buy wire. Oh, he's got to
6
drop
feet
down
of 4
6
odd
feet.
copper. Yeah,
Probably
6 feet of
cost you
4 odd copper is going to be
probably
what,
about
$40?
$100.
Yeah, yeah, not bad at all. Grouch is saying when he leaves Illinois, I did answer just finish up the gauge question. When he leaves Illinois and I'm done at Dayton, we should try to meet up somewhere. Message me on the Discord and we'll talk about it. But sounds like a plan, and we're going to see each other at Huntsville too. Andy has questions. Andy, I'm ready for you. I'm scrolling. Travis says using a Victron 250-100, and it creates so much noise that even UHF doesn't work. How close are you to it? How far do you need to go before it starts working again? And are you really pushing 100 amps through it?
I think this needs to be said. We're hams. We expect devices like this, especially inverters. My God,
Yeah.
of all devices, like that is the king root of noise. Switching transistors to be noisy in our little hobby. So, maybe turning off the inverter for a little bit so you can play radio is just a real
Yeah,
easy
radios are all
solution.
12 volts DC.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Maybe turn it off. Turning off the solar for a little bit so you can have a little radio fun is not as bad as
Now,
what I mean.
let me ask you a question, Ziggy, specifically about what you just said. Specifically,
Okay.
let me point to Ziggy.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And so, when you say turn off the solar panel, you just disconnect the power from the panels to the inverter charge controller setup, and that will kill the noise.
I would.
How do you kill the solar panels? What I'm asking, because unless you
have
throw a blanket over them, right? I don't know.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I've got a box, and it's what's required by my electric provider, is that there has to be a throwable, so with a handle that they can see from the road, and it's got a knife switch, and then for me, for my inverter, I would knife switch my inverter before I would hit the big rotary on the DC disconnect that it has available, because that hot lifts the inverter while it's in action. It's constantly monitoring the grid every 120 times a second, for every other
Ziggy's
60
got a
cycle.
great tie system.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The electric company owes him money.
Mm.
Just go with the joke.
$30 electric bills.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would just knife switch it, because as soon as it sees that there's no grid anymore, it immediately backs off and it's safe. And then I haven't shocked, the electronics of the system either. And the inverter can actually still stay on and stay live. And it has a receptacle in this mode when it's disconnected from grid, but it sees power. My inverter has alternate means of getting power out of it up to 2,000 watts. And I went ahead and installed that outlet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So with no
30
battery,
amp, the 30 amp thing.
Yeah. So, well, no, it's 20 amp technically,
20? Okay.
but it gives me power when there's sun out. So it's not, a total loss, but I don't use that. I'm experienced Florida man. I have a dinosaur, dinosaur noisemaker outside that works real damn good. Powers everything, all the pumps, all the house.
Generator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Don's coming in. Another weak point is the length of wire from the solar panel. So either gauge up your wire, make them thicker, or increase the voltage, which would lower the amperage, which would let you not have to worry about gauging up the wire, is my understanding.
Yeah, and you also have
Solutions.
resistance. You have resistance from the wire, so the bigger gauge will be lower resistance as well.
As we get into this wonderful time of year, and there's going to be storms and all this, some people are going to be in and out of power a lot, like me. And I want to remind everybody that when the power goes out, go play radio. Don't forget about the radio when the power's out and the whole neighborhood's lost power. Go play with your radio, because it's going to be
Nice and quiet.
dead quiet. All right? Don't do your first instinct of everything else when the power goes out this year, guys. Go play radio. I guarantee you, You're gonna cry whenever the power comes back on.
Or I'll cry when my wife yells at me for playing radio and she's sitting in the dark.
I thought you had an auto transfer all figured out.
No,
He
I got
does.
one
Macy,
back
go flip
here.
the
Yeah,
switch.
yeah.
So Robert, my good friend Robert, put a fuse on the inverter or lead or breaker, and there is a breaker on the panel, and I do have a second breaker, so I can shut off the entire system, or I can install another breaker and shut off the inverter only. That's actually not a bad idea. Let's do it live. Ooh, wrong thing. Move that over there. Copy and paste. Put that there.
Not a switch.
No, this is a breaker. It is a switch, but it's not a switch. Yes.
So, in the dirty world of electricians, we call that a means of disconnect,
Right.
which can check two boxes, unfortunately.
There we go.
Tio, that black wire going underneath that red bus bar is making me crazy.
It's
It
making him
is.
crazy already. I've already had to calm him down and make him come full
I
circle on
hate
that.
Talk him off the ledge.
I did.
Yeah, so I gotta do this. So now it's in front of the bus bar.
The people want to know if you're going to make a live purchase.
A live purchase of what? I already have all this stuff.
Ooh, Tio, I know what we can do. We can stand
What?
off the board from the wall and drill a hole right there, and we can drop behind the red terminal and then pop back on this side of the board.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sneak the cables through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the circuit breakers. Pow.
Bang.
I got the bus bars. Zowie.
We're going to put
Inverter and
way
the-
more current than 200 amps into that.
Yeah. The inverter and the charge controller are already on the wall. Let's There's the inverter in orange and the charge controller in gray. The load tester is, I mean, you guys have seen all this stuff. Look at that. And now to make everybody cringe, there's no battery connected to that wall. That's running directly off of sunlight. People hate it when I do that. Always connect the battery first. Okay.
I want to see a big biscuit burner up there, not your little 10 amp hour 4-day long tester. I want to see a 100 amp load with a fan on it.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get there one of these days. Somebody want to send me a 100 amp load to demonstrate to all y'all people? We'll test a 100 amp hour battery in 1 hour. Yeah, that would be kind of scary.
Gotta wait
let's
for
see.
cooler weather for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott's
yeah, a
asking, where
toaster.
am I? I am in Wisconsin.
A battery toaster. Yeah, that's it, James.
And Ziggy is in Florida. And so in terms of RF noise, this panel is RF quiet at like 8 feet away. And it's actually not all that bad. Like maybe plus 10 dB from minus 80 to minus 70 of noise. I did a video on it a while back for a TinySA test. Sean, it's just you stroking out, brother. Take your meds, man.
I'm surprised you saw that.
Yeah.
I asked him if he was okay.
Are you okay, man? Are you okay?
So a solar generator, right? Chris brings this up. I feel like this is a term that has come up recently in the aging of solar episodes that are going on these days. It's so misleading to somebody who doesn't know anything about alternative power or backup power. You hear solar generator, you think that, I just have this device and it just magically makes. No, a solar generator is nothing more than a battery and an inverter, and maybe you have some panels hooked to it at the same time. It's kind of like the makings of storing power, but it's never quite a generator.
Well, here's the weird part about it. Like, I always argue this one. Jim's got an LP gas generator. It does not generate propane. It takes propane and generates electricity.
Right.
I have a solar generator. It doesn't generate sun. It takes sun and generates electricity. People always get wrapped around the axle on that one.
Well,
yes, it is a solar generator.
I agree with Ziggy that solar generator term has been around for a while. It's like a Chinese marketing term, I think, that started with all the cheap ones that started flooding the market. And when the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell solar got to do with this? It's not even got a solar panel on it. How is it
Yeah.
generating anything?
Jeff's got it. Solar generator is a fancy battery box.
It is.
Yeah.
It's got all the things in it. So Hamman CT, emergency shut off. That's it right there. Let's reset that. Emergency.
Right.
I'll get a 3D printed big button to put on top of that.
I'm on that. I'll give you a big red one.
That'd be awesome.
So we use those 200 amp breakers that TO has in all of the racing cars that I build on the days that I work, and they work. They will leave you stranded on the side of the road if you have a problem, but they will not allow
Hit a
you
bump
to
too
burn.
hard.
They will not allow you to burn your race car down. So
Travis has 1,650 watts of solar on each of his Victrons because he's got 2 of them. They max out at 1,400 watts and each runs wide open most of the day. That's an impressive
feel
load,
ya.
Travis.
I feel you, Travis. I'm capped at 7,700, and my inverter rides 7,800 for about 3-4 hours of every day, just straight flat line, straight clipped.
Oda activation station. Yep.
But I was recently given some solar panels from a ham that got a new system. So I have a new to me used system, and they're all micro inverters. So I have a string system, high voltage, and I also have a micro inverter system, which is actually 3 different systems, and including the string is 4 different solar arrays. Yes. It's getting a little hectic around here. But
Toaster oven. I can run a toaster oven off of this setup.
yeah.
Got
Toaster
a video coming out about that. Not a toaster, but
Harbor Freight's got a 1,000 amp battery toaster.
Yeah, that was the comment. I tried to put it up and
Oof. I don't think
we
think
collided
1,000.
with
we
James.
collided. I'm gonna Google that because I want to see
Yeah,
what
I'm gonna look that up.
stand by. I'm pulling it up.
So
Ziggy
I like
just sitting there looking pretty. I mean, it's like, come on, Ziggy.
Am I supposed to do it?
No, I just got to give you some grief. That's all.
Oh, okay. I was about to talk about these toroids I've been wrapping up for Coffee and Ham Radio Group.
I know. Please don't send me any more pictures of toroids and charts. You're sending them the wrong guy. I look at that.
Yeah,
and go, okay. I don't care.
Yeah, they
Ziggy.
never made it. So here's the extra length on the 4-foot cable.
Nice.
TO. Yeah,
Nice.
it's
not bad.
It's not bad. I dig it. I dig
And I
the
forgot.
extra
What are
length.
you putting those? What are you putting? That's RG8X you're doing on the toroids, and
Oh,
then
I have one of those load testers.
BNC. Hang on.
I'll be
Carbon pile battery
specifics
and
with you.
system load tester.
Oh, it's
$219.
58U. So
Okay. Why 58U instead of something like RG8X?
these are really hard to obtain. Like break your neck trying to get them.
1,000 amps.
Also, in HF for a choke, that's all you need, because all we're really trying to do is get we're just trying to get the shield close to the toroid. Like there's hardly any signal loss in 4 feet of 58. So especially at HF.
So this is an automotive load tester, and the thing that my spinny lighty thingy does, thank you, Gendron, is it data logs for you. And I can get you all kinds of fancy charts and graphs that I haven't. It's a new one. I haven't done that yet. And it'll tell me total capacity delivered to the load. This one here will just suck power out of your battery and then swing a meter and then go off. It's like good, not good. That's what this one does.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a load tester. It's not a 1,000 amp load tester. Mine goes up to 400 watts in whatever variation of voltage and current I set it to.
Yeah. So I've got one of those, whatever it is. Let's share that tab instead. I've got one of these, but again, all this is a good, not good.
Yeah.
Good battery. So,
And
Jim,
that's probably fairly useful to test stuff in ham. I don't know that you need the $200 one, but
Oh no, this is perfect. That's exactly what you need right there for $17.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a coil and a switch, and
it's a
you
heater.
you get a multimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would
Can
just
you set up
I
a
don't not
giveaway,
much of
please?
multi.
Yeah.
More like just meter, a meter, a coil, and meter.
This
and a
is
coil.
for the 3D printed TinySA or NanoVNA case of your choice. And what I will do is I will connect you to the designer of the case, and then you can hash out to him what color, what call sign, what device you'd like to store inside of it. James is asking if I was able to get an RV spot at Hamcation. No, and we actually just lost our Airbnb moments before the show started and had to scramble a little bit.
While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna go check on the boy. I'll be right back.
All right. John wants us to get the 1,000 amp dummy load and test it live on Nuggets. Okay, zap.
Clear.
So what would happen with modern LFP, lithium iron phosphate batteries is, subliminal, is the internal BMS would shut down before it could deliver more than its rated amperage. So it's actually not a bad idea to get one of those. Oh man, I might have to go grab my
You're gonna get the Big Daddy one?
I hit the wrong button. Dang it. Present, share screen. Now I gotta do it all over again. This. No, share tab. That tab. Share. 3D case in the chat. Nobody heard that.
Jody got it.
100 amps. This is only 100 amps. So this would not be enough to do the test. Because I do have batteries that can deliver more than 100 amps continuous.
Well, that was my next question is I have 100 amp hour batteries. So obviously 100 amps is going to be the maximum.
Maybe.
But I would but I would assume on a 200 or 300 amp hour battery, it can deliver more than 100.
Yeah. So it really depends on the battery. Like I tried, one of the channel members sent me a message and I tried really hard to replicate his setup. He had, I want to say, a 50 amp hour battery, a G90 and the XPA 125B amp, and he couldn't run them at the same time. And I was thinking that the BMS inside the battery was current limited to not provide more than, I'm going to put a number out there, 20 amps at a time. And so my test, like, let me show you how this is doing this thing and go through all the details. I got my 3 amp hour BioNO and I made a contact at 100 watts with a 100 watt amp and a 20 amp G90 running off of one 3 amp hour battery. I was blown away at how that worked. It's, in my mind, that should have shut itself off.
That's interesting. I'm blown off of a 3 amp hour battery.
So the battery has 3 amp hours of capacity, but making an SSB contact at 100 watts isn't going to draw.
There's going to be a surge
3
on
amp
it too.
hours.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not calling you out, but like a lot of people don't really connect the two together. Like 3 amp hours of capacity is not 3 amp hours, 3 amps of delivery. Let me say that again. 3 amp hours of capacity is not 3 amps of delivery limit. They're two different numbers.
Yes, they are. Amp hour is essentially a watt. Essentially.
Well, no, amp hour.
I mean,
is
I
amps
said that
over
wrong.
time.
Over time, I completely said that backwards. Yeah. An amp hour is amps over time. So a 3 amp hour battery can do 1 amp for 3 hours or 3 amps for 1 hour.
Right.
But then all those things have,
or 30 amps for a second.
Yeah, some kind of surge, like a generator. They have running watts, and then they have peak watts. But I would have thought it would have been at most what the battery was, if not half of what the battery was. But you disproved that completely.
I was totally expecting it to fail, and I wanted to demonstrate the failure and then hook it up to a different battery. So when I was looking at the 3,000 watt inverter, I looked at every single battery that I had and tried to figure out how can I gang all these up safely for the demonstration purpose. Because there's a weird thing that I don't completely believe in, where you're not supposed to mix batteries from different vendors. And as a kid, when I was playing with my walkie-talkies and my RC cars, I was
Whatever
putting Evereadys and
batteries I could
Duracells and
find.
Energizers, just shoving them
Yeah.
all in there.
Yep.
And I'll even mix, NiCads and nickel metal hydride and alkaline together. And those are actually different voltages. It's 1.2 versus 1.5 nominal. So, like I kind of get it, but the BMS inside of battery A, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, is not talking data wise to the BMS in battery B. Where I can see what they're talking about is that the BMS is going to try and balance the cells in battery A, and the BMS in battery B is going to try to balance the cells, but together the two of them don't have matching output voltages, so they're going to be fighting each other. There's a possibility there, but whoa, I am an anarchist.
Should we let him back in? He said he's
Yeah,
back. Okay.
I'm doing it on purpose.
I was too.
Yeah.
So I had to buy some supplies for making these toroids. I didn't know that you could get. Didn't know I could get them this big locally.
1,000 pack. Yep.
1,000 bag.
So there is a trick to that. That one's a Ziploc bag, but there's a trick to those. If you take that bag of zip ties and instead of slicing the top open so you have this big hole that they all fall out of, lay it flat and slice it this way, like a tissue box, and you can reach in and pull one out and they don't fall out. As long as you don't slice it the entire height of a zip tie.
Nope.
Awesome.
At the shop that works for a while, but somewhere around halfway they're just kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Hulk smash.
About halfway through they go.
If
everywhere.
you Andy Cowley, it's one word, and it's all lowercase. If you are trying to get into this, it has to be typed exactly just so.
So I have a feeling that if I get this Harbor Freight load tester, which I already have one because I used to be an auto mechanic before I was a ham radio mechanic.
We can just wire it in
Yeah,
to the wall of awesome and put a fan on it.
Well, I'd only run it for a second. There's a on-off switch on the bottom of it. You know that. All of the batteries that I'm testing, most of the batteries that I'm testing are rated for 100 amp continuous. So it would just, it's good forever.
It'd be happy all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Sean's getting greedy. There's a link in the description. After you win the one, now watch Sean win. You could order 2 more. So let me pull that website up real quick.
We have 58 entries so far.
I got to steal the link back from Frank. Yeah, there you go. He's got red, blue, orange, green, white. So lots of different choices. And like I showed you, mine's got my call sign on it, so you can have it custom printed. You could have no text on it I've got a NanoVNA and a TinySA, and the cases are relatively similar in size. They're not exactly similar in size. They're relatively similar, very close. It tweaks me just a little bit that they're not the exact same size. So I have the TinySA or the NanoVNA written on there.
That's a similar design case to that one I did for you for the pine soles.
Yeah. They are really super nice cases, though. Upside down again.
Nice.
But he's doing the texture right. It's got a kind of a utilitarian look to it. There is a little bit of 3D print technology going on there. And then he's actually using metal pins on this one. Jim had 3D printed pins in an accent color, which is nice also. But yeah, really nice case.
Did I put your name on it? I don't remember. I don't think I did.
No, you did the pine cone inlay.
Yeah.
But it was actually a cutout on the top layer and then a red on the bottom. So it actually looks really good.
I think I was using the end of several rolls.
These guys in the chat are like crawling up the wall. You're gonna hit the button.
Oh yeah. How many entries we got? 60? I can't read that.
63.
Do it up. Do it up. Do it up. And Sean's asking me a technical question. I don't know. Let's see if it's written on the website somewhere while that's drawing away. It's going to be Sean. It's going to be Sean that wins it.
Ham
Oh,
Man.
Ham Man CT. Awesome. It is neodymium magnets, neoprene, and ABS, if that means something to you.
What's he asking about?
What the 3D print material is.
Oh. ABS for that case? Okay.
It might just be a typo. All right. Congratulations, Ham Man. CT for current transformer, yes. Ham Man, ping me on the Discord and I will get you in contact with the creator. The creator is Add Subtract Customs, is his name on Etsy. And for all y'all that didn't win, I'm sorry, but there is a link in the description if you still want one. I can't tell by touch whether it's ABS or not. It feels like 3D printed plastic to me. To me, ABS is what they make car bumpers and trash cans out of, and this doesn't feel like that.
There's nothing wrong with it. ABS is a more durable plastic than PLA, but I don't know if it costs anymore. I think it does a little bit.
I don't think it will fit an SAA2N, but reach out to him.
Well, he should be able to resize it. Honestly,
he's actually really good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, he can just resize that in a slicer and make it slightly bigger.
The concern is that he doesn't actually own an SAA2N, so you'd have to work with him.
Yeah.
Totally off topic, Jim. The wife tells me that there were reportedly in the news three arrests from a structure fire here in town just recently. Boy, that's big excitement down in a little place where I live.
3 arrests at a structure fire?
Yeah.
Was it 3 firemen or was it like civilians?
3 firemen got arrested.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It could happen. It
was a ham radio operator that showed up with his Baofeng and his yellow vest.
I was going to say, or was it some chuckle-headed old man in a yellow vest?
Cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest. Ding-a-ling.
Oh, okay. Not criminal arrest. Cardiac arrest.
Oh.
You said arrested.
You said arrested.
Which is true. It's still...
No. Yeah.
But
arrested and Florida man in the same sentence. I don't think.
I didn't say arrested. I said arrest.
I heard arrested. We'll replay the tape. But I heard fireman and I knew Florida, so I was assuming somebody was drunk at a scene.
I didn't say fireman either.
You had 3 arrests at the same call?
3 arrests at a structure fire.
So 3 firemen arrested at a call?
No, we're all confused, and I understand
why.
No,
I'm not confused now. I'm in the medical context. There were 3 arrests at a structure fire.
Yeah.
Was it the firemen who arrested?
No.
So there were 3 civilian arrests. Was it like an old people home or something?
Fire. Oh, no, I don't want to get into details. It was awful.
Well, yeah, 3 arrests are awful. I'm just trying to get the context.
Yeah. Sorry. There was a structure fire, and I guess 2 children and an adult didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sad. Anyway, so she's off to get some White Claw, she tells me.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
Jim, why do you know that?
I read it on the internet, man. I've never had a White Claw in my life. I've never had a White Claw in my life. I drink PBR when I drink.
You know what a White Claw is, right?
Some kind of boozy seltzer water, I think. I don't know.
Bartles and James for 2025.
Okay.
Now they
back
make,
in my
White Claw
day,
spirits.
it was Boone's Farm Tickle Pink.
Nice.
I agree with Grouch. White Claw.
You had a bottle of that. You could get a girl to do almost anything.
Ziggy, I've seen you drink White Claws.
Oh, I'll kill a case of White Claw. That's the problem.
It just tastes like candy. It's like Jolly Rancher in a can.
I'll have 3 of them open at the same time.
Zima Clear Malt. Nice. I remember Zima.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What was the other stuff we drank in high school? Yukon Jack.
Oh, God. I thought he was going to say something else.
What did you think I was going to say?
Nothing. Never mind.
Yukon Jack. All right. This has gotten sideways.
It has. Ziggy, what's with these red cores?
So I got some new cores to play with. I'm going to be making monoband in-fed half waves. Now, why monoband? Because multiband, what happens is we end up kind of, those of us that impedance tune our in-fed half waves transformers, we get stuck in an area of efficiency where we still are thinking about the other bands that are coming in, and they're coming in at either high or low current. And so we're trying to compensate one impedance for many bands, and we just kind of settle on wherever, the curve ends up laying, and all looks good. But the truth is that's not really the efficiency curve if you were to back them. So I found the most efficient core at what I'm trying to do, which is impedance transformation. And I found possibly that this might be the answer for me. And it's pretty color. It's type 2. This is almost a 240. I think it's like a 210 or maybe a 190 or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to be making impedance matching them for just one band. And the idea is to sell an antenna for that. For example, the 30-meter, aficionado, and he wants maximum efficiency with his 5-watt radio or whatever it is. And of course, these cores are going to be, scaled down. But that's the experiment. I'm going for above 98% efficient on an in-fed half wave. Bam.
While you were doing that, we checked the rewind. So thank you for the little station break there. 3 arrests at a structure fire, which is why we were thinking criminals.
Yeah. And I wouldn't typically think of, everybody dies of an arrest sooner or later, but I wouldn't have put it in that context. 3 fire fatalities is what I would have.
I was thinking arson.
Yeah. I took it as Popo arrested people.
So Ziggy is technically correct. The best kind of correct.
He is technically correct. It just depends on the context you heard it in.
Nobody cares about people getting arrested.
No.
That's on that's for Facebook.
It's like people getting shot in the rear end in Chicago. It happens every day.
Especially in Florida. Yep.
First fire I answered as chief, there was 2 arrests. Cletus and Matilda got arrested because they was cooking in their trailer and it got out of control.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the cardiac kind of arrest. It was the Popo arrest.
So back to these cores, Ziggy.
Yeah, man.
Not to change the subject back to ham radio.
I'm sorry.
People get really hung up. Do you think that the original inventors, manufacturers of ferrite cores or whatever other kind of core material there happens to be thought to themselves, this is going to be perfect for a 9-to-1 transformer for an NFED random wire for the ham radio bands of 80, 40, 20, 15, and 12? Or did they just make a core and hams adapted it to their needs?
Well,
Doc, yes.
So when they make these cores, they're for very specific purposes. Now, when we talk about our ham radio hobby, even 1 to 30 megahertz is just like a mind-blowing amount of spectrum in the RF electronics world, and that's what these are for. These are for low-level, component shifting jobs. So they're going to be targeted around very specific frequencies, like this core, for example. The type 2 is excellent at, what was it? It was 17 and 20 meters are the most highest efficiency frequencies that core can operate and still do its job. So I'm going to start there, and get a baseline. So for example, whenever you see the classic infed half wave that's made out of a ferrite core, a mix 43, that mix 43, I've come to learn, is actually surprisingly lossy compared to a lot of other cores that are available to us in other colors, like for example, also yellow. There are higher efficient. Yeah. Well, I'm stuck on 2. Yeah,
color.
6. You're right. I think it's 6. Yeah. Ziggy, can we amateurs make open air roids that will do the same as 43? The problem with the open air transformers is that there's I believe they're just terrible. They're absolutely terrible.
Well, there's a difference between an inductor and a transformer. An open air coil of wire would be an inductor. There's
Well, you can
there's
put
not the same
another.
magnetic flux going on.
You can have a coil, and then you can have another coil, an open air coil on top of that, and then you can have a pseudo transformer.
Okay.
But the efficiency is like in the garbage. I would not suggest it. You need to have some kind of catalyst, I guess you would call it, some kind of bonding agent that would be your core material. Go ahead.
So I guess the question I was asking is, are they working backwards from I want to transmit on 14300 and I have this problem, what mix of iron powder is going to make this work? Or did they have the iron powder and then found that it worked on 14300?
They
Like, how did
found
this
that
come about?
they found that it worked, right?
Yeah.
Nobody was so stability to be horrible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I
Breathe
said,
on it, gone. Yeah.
I've recently learned that the Mix 43, you know, our holy grail efficiency core, it can't hold a candle to a bunch of other cores that are out there that we're not playing with. Now, the problem gets is when you get into efficient iron core materials such as this Type 2 for our 1 to 30 toy antennas. What happens is they have low permeability, right? So instead of 2 primary, you actually have to put 3 primary on this thing. And then that's going to also, you know, square up the number of secondary turns. So your base minimum wrap on this is going to be 21 wraps of wire. Just keep that in mind.
Wow.
That ain't nothing.
Yeah. So the reason I bring this up, it was kind of a loaded question. Ziggy, you made a 9-to-1 out of the wrong core.
I'll get one.
And I did some research for that video, and I couldn't find out what the right core for a 9-to-1 was.
The best toroid for 11 meters is going to be
Ziggy
a
knows.
Type 61.
Yeah.
Like this.
Ziggy knows.
Ziggy knows.
And so, you know, like it didn't work, but there was no reason for it to not work. So that's the Minty core. I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you though. And it worked. You know, it tuned up. It worked. I made contacts. I had no problems with it. Now, is it the most efficient? Who knows?
No.
Because an end-fed random wire isn't the most efficient. Like, you're asking me to make something inefficient an efficient thing.
What's Brant thinking me for? What did I do, Brant?
Because you answered, what's the best toroid for 11 meters?
Oh, okay. That was him. Got it.
Same guy.
Hey, man, hit me up on Discord, Brant, if you got any more 11 meter questions.
Yeah.
So this core, right? It tuned up every band. You totally skipped over that, Tio. You went 160 to 6.
Yep. Might as well try them all. Full send.
You tuned up every single one of them. So this core is just the Poseidon core, and I found somebody on eBay that was trying to get rid of a big purchase that they had made. They used like 1 or 2 out of the 40 pack. So for pennies on the dollar, I got a whole bunch of these. So I've been having a blast. I've got a pretty sizable toroid collection. Plus, you, T.O., sent me a whole bunch more recently. So I am drowning in cores right now.
One for every finger.
I do.
One
I
for
have
every toe.
so many. I was taking stock at my inventory. I was like, wow, this is getting serious.
For everybody in the house.
I'm gonna have to start like going on a deeper level of category. So trying to compete with Ape. Who's trying to compete with Ape? Not me.
How is this how is that working for you? Not how is it working? How does it work for you? I know it works.
Type 26 for 9-to-1s. That's cool.
Never even heard of Type 26.
Yep.
I'll admit it.
There's a bajillion of them. I don't know how great it is.
Marvin said that's how he discharges his inverter.
That would do it. How does that tune on 40 meters, Marvin?
That's a resistor. That's not a coil.
I see windings with taps.
I know it looks like that though, doesn't it?
It's an inductive resistor.
Yeah, he posted that in Nuggets. So I want to share that.
Yeah, that looks pretty sweet, Marvin.
some chucklehead on YouTube, and I can't remember who, and I can't remember how much, had some giant fuses that he wanted to pop. And I'm talking like hundreds or thousands of amps.
Oh yeah, I think I might have seen that.
I want
Like
to
he
say
lit the cable on fire and the fuse still didn't blow or something.
it was like a 2,500 amp fuse on some
Yeah.
huge cable.
So Phil's asking about 4-to-1. 4-to-1 is what we use in the Poseidon, right?
Oh, check this out.
Yes,
On
that's
on the
correct.
green core.
On the green core. Or a
How
type
about-
61 also works too, because that's how I did my original Kronos, was on a 61
Yeah.
mix.
So here's the thing. This is why I took the Kronos core and then threw a different wrap on it, because first of all, nobody that I know had done that wrap, and I used to actually hate the 9-to-1 antenna, but I've come full circle.
Ziggy was resonant only.
I've come full circle in my ham career, and that, you know what, random antennas get the most new hams on the air, so let's make them the best that we can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it would look pretty. So that's another reason
Red
why
and
I did it.
green. Yeah,
Yeah,
Christmas colors.
Yeah, red, green, and blue.
Nice.
But
5,000 amps.
I got such a, and you know what, I made it, and I didn't want to test it because I wasn't even sure myself like how to even rate a random antenna. So I immediately just sent it to TO, where it sat for a very long time.
I have antenna challenges. The guy cut the grass today, and he threatened to cut the grass 4 times this week. Pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Congrats,
So
Blue Boy.
hey, good
So,
job.
Marvin. This is the reason why I was asking if that would antenna.
Where did you just pull that out of? Just...
Below the table. Don't ask any other questions.
I know where it
No,
came from.
It was sitting on
Oh,
the desk
man.
over there.
Oh,
This came
geez.
from another Florida man. This came from Ronnie, W4TRI, and he sent this up, and it's got taps on it that you can screw into, one of these windings, and that's almost what your resistor made me think of, with all those different taps on it. So, feed point here from 3/8 24, and then put a whip on it of your desire, and then tap it out. Is 25 foot the only Poseidon length? No, it is not. You can put whatever length you want on that makes it work, but 25 foot is the length that we tested. So feel free to experiment with shorter or longer, and you might lose some bands or gain some bands. But one of the problems we have with the Poseidon is 80 meters is going to burn it up. And Chuck and I are debating if it's wire length or some other electromagnetic property that's causing it to burn up.
It's core material.
It's the core material, I think, and it's also very sensitive to power. So you can't run 50 watts digital on it at 80 meters for very long, or it will smoke stuff. Yeah.
The reason I derailed myself. The reason why I did the 9-to-1 on the Kronos core is because I wanted a touch more of impedance, and without going full send on a 49-to-1 or a 36-to-1 in-fed half wave kind of impedance ratio. I just stopped at the next pit stop. And, yeah, squirrel. Thanks, Grouch. And I did a 9-to-1 to give it a kiss more of impedance, and that allowed me to do some other things with it that were a lot more fun. So the reason why I went with the 9-to-1 is because I wanted to do a touch more of impedance so I could have a bit longer wire off of there.
How much power did you run through it? Because I didn't run power through it for any time. I just tested to see that it would work.
Usually I light them up to 100 watts, but not for very long.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's all about experimentation.
But if you're going to use something like that, I would cap that thing at 50 watts, like.
So
immediately.
You guys mentioned core saturation, and I get the concept of that. So I'm not discounting, I'm not arguing, I'm asking a question here. When you change the length of the wire, you're asking the core to do less auto transformation. So wouldn't that reduce the amount of saturation? I didn't say which direction we're changing the length in either. That's still an exercise for the user.
The 52 core that's part of the Kronos, it's primarily not used for RF transformation whatsoever.
It is not. Yeah.
That is not its purpose in life for whatsoever. It's actually an inductor, or I think part of some kind of choking choking bandwidth. But 2 turns of I've been going over this a lot. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to it. But that's part of the magic that makes something like a Rybakov work so well. Is that you have the ability to play on the core, because you know that the antenna is not going to be happy with a fixed radiator, and you're going to try to tune up every band from DC to daylight on it. So you know it's got to go somewhere. So nobody can play the I didn't know that was going to happen kind of game.
Free energy. Yeah.
The antenna I just sent out today for Pete actually has what I call a stove vent. It's got breathing holes at the bottom, and then he's got a cork he can pop out of the top whenever he wants to put the hammer down, and it'll just naturally breathe. And when he's done playing, he can pop his cork, and it's an outside box. It's an outside weather box, so it's going to be permanently installed at his hopefully his girlfriend's house. From what I hear, he's setting up a station at the
nice.
at the YLs.
This is Pete that got James radio, I believe.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he said like a 4-way deal there. We're all talking separately to each other.
Right?
Pete tells me Ziggy said. James tells me Pete said. Oh, I'm connecting all these dots. Okay.
Power your shack from your the Kronos 0-point energy antenna. That's funny.
The ZPM.
Right?
Another famous quote. Jim, what are you buying on stream?
Nothing.
You got that look like you're spending money.
No, I bought that radio the other day, so I'm good.
The Z-Bit X?
The Z-Bit X, because I'm American, but Z-Bit X, yes.
He might well be, Frank. Right, Sean? Only the most alpha of hams have girlfriends.
Right.
I guess only the least alpha of hams have girlfriends. Tell the boy put some clothes on.
A merge battle game?
This is Ryan, young ham in training. James, with the Optima, you're going to get the built-in tuner, so that'll be a good match for that radio.
Yep, that will work well.
And then for QRP, you need to get yourself another tuner as you separate the head and go out in the field.
Yeah, so 52 was made for inductors and for RF chokes, where loss is acceptable or even desired. But again, a bunch of hams went out and just found a bunch of toroids one day and started wrapping them up and getting on the air. And like
Do you want
Tia
DMR?
says,
Because this is how you get DMR.
this is the gateway drug, right?
Yeah.
So, it says 52 starts getting lossy above 10 megahertz. So technically, it's supposed to be more efficient on the lower bands.
Lossy above 10. We don't do much above 10.
Well, I mean, you do. No, 10 megahertz,
6
not.
meters.
No, not the band, the megahertz.
10 megahertz is 30 megahertz.
There you
30
go.
meters.
Yeah. There you go.
The weirdest thing about ham radio frequencies is you can translate them into RPM.
What?
Revolutions per mile or hertz, cycles per second. It is actually a distance measurement.
Okay.
Let me pull it out. Let's see. 30 megahertz. Let's see if DuckDuckGo can do it in RPM.
It gave me a nice little guesstimate on 10 meters. So if you're pumping 25 watts into that core, you're going to lose about 5 to 10, which in my opinion is totally acceptable for a random antenna that can tune, all the ham bands that you could ever want to have fun with in the evening.
So I got my screens all rearranged. I got to unrearrange them.
There's Chris.
Jay Baker, I'm with you. I thought it was revolutions per minute.
Revolutions per minute. Yeah, sorry. So let's do.
That's why when you said miles, I'm like, does he know something
Yeah.
I'm missing?
Yeah, I
Well,
said it
wouldn't
wrong.
it just be divided by 2? Because then that's a full cycle.
Convert. 18 million RPM, 300,000 hertz, 300
Okay.
kilohertz. RPM, revolutions per minute, cycles per second. Same thing.
Okay.
Not directly, not
That
same
is
thing,
the
same
weirdest
thing.
conversion I think I've ever seen in my entire
Yeah.
life.
I was looking up some dipole calculator or something, and it allowed me to convert RPM to a dipole, and I'm like, what? And never forgot from that day
I mean, if
forward.
you've
Yeah,
ever
watts to
read The
horsepower
Martian,
is a
that
thing
could be
too.
what
Yep.
that could be in units of pirate ninjas or something.
Yeah.
So
So if you have a 1 horsepower motor, you can directly figure out how much 120 volt AC current it needs.
okay.
So there we go. And this ends tonight's Nuggets show. There are links in the description for all of the awesome stuff I talked about in the beginning. And for those of you that didn't win, the TinySA or NanoVNA case could still be yours for the lovely price of.
It's a link for the Toads Discord up yonder.
Join us on Toads. And then Frank is going to stream after this, I do believe. Ham Radio Wilderness with Frank's got some antenna issues he wants to chat with y'all about. So it'll be pretty cool.
And thank God we have a place to stay
Yes,
at this time.
I am at this time. Yes, clicking the button. See y'all. Thank you.
See you guys.
Good stream.
Take care.
Thanks, y'all.